Good afternoon and welcome here to Turner Stadium on the campus of Taylor University for today's women's soccer matchup between the cross-county rivals of Indiana Wesleyan and Taylor University. We're glad you are joining us here on this Saturday afternoon for the regular season finale for both of these teams. These two teams met earlier this season. That was about a month or so ago, with Indiana Wesleyan coming out on top 2-0 with an early goal scored by the Wildcats. The Trojans just cannot find their offensive legging, but they come in on the backs of an 18-goal-to-1 allowed performance a week ago in two matches against Bethel, which gained Morgan Orm the Crossroads League Offensive Player of the Week in honor, and Hannah Dempsey the Defensive Player of the Week honor. This game will not count towards the league standings for either team, as they've already played once, so it'll just go down as a non-conference match, and it's the final tune-up before next Saturday's Crossroads League tournament. Cool temperatures when that wind picks up, but still a nice, pretty day here on Halloween in Upland, Indiana. Taylor shoots on the goal to our left to start. Hope Stacker is in the goal, just like she has in the first 11 matches of her college career for Indiana Wesleyan. And she's wearing the neon yellow today. Hannah Brackenbury, a freshman as well. She is in there for the Trojans, as she has started all of the matches this year for the Taylor women's soccer team. Wind will be in the face of Indiana Wesleyan here in this opening half. Not very strong consistently, but it is ramping up here occasionally. As Brenna Streeter works it up the near sideline, kicked out of bounds, and Taylor will have a throw-in from their defensive end. Trojans come in 4th in goals in the country with 40. But Indiana Wesleyan can strike at a moment's notice as last time they were on this field, it was covered in snow as the Wildcats won their opening round series for the NAI tournament a year ago. Played it here on the Turner Stadium turf, but it was covered in snow. Long ball through, kicked away by Brackenbury as I would try to connect with Lauren Turner. Playing to the offensive half for Taylor. Rakes knocks it around a defender, plays it into space. Stevens has got to leg it out, but she will not get there in time as it rolls across the end line. Good job by Emily Carter to box her out. Again, temperature sitting in the mid-40s to low 50s here on this Halloween day. But the wind picks up, makes it a little bit cooler, even when you're standing down there in the sun. Ball flicked to the near side by Indiana Wesleyan. Olivia Schmidt wanted to find Turner in the middle. It's kicked away by the defender Riley Massey. Iowa with a quick restart here with Sydney Brown near side. Raina Williams comes in. She'll kick this one away, and Iowa will throw it in along the near sideline with Brenna Streeter once again, who's been very active here early on. Williams boxing it out, trying to cut off Brown. A slide from Williams, plays it to the near side as Cullen will send it in with a right foot into the box. Brackenbury smashes it down, but it's kept away. Turned and shooting it wide was Lauren Turner. As she had a good look at goal, she was able to flick the ball away, cutting in front of the freshman keeper Brackenbury, but just couldn't turn her body enough towards the goal mouth, and she kicks it wide, and Taylor avoids one there. Goal kick upcoming for Brackenbury. Again, Taylor with the wind at their backs here in the opening half. We'll see if they can use that to their advantage. Deflected down to Dempsey, this week's Crossroads League Defender of the Week, after scoring 2 goals, her first multi-goal game of her career last Saturday on this field in the 12-0 romp against Bethel. Pass to the middle of the field, almost didn't get to Massey in time. She sprints forward and deflects it near side. Orm trying to keep it in as she fights for position with Streeter. Lays it back to Goebel, midline for Taylor, and then right off to Lindley, too. Pressure comes from behind by Sydney Brown. 2 will sprint away up the near sideline as Taylor shoots on the goal to our left. 2 gets an angle, flips it between 2 defenders. Orm trying to give it back to 2, plays it over her head, and it'll bounce out of play. And Iowa will throw it in deep in their defensive end. The Wildcats in the dark gray uniforms, light gray numbers, light gray shorts, and the red socks. Taylor in the home whites with the purple numbers and the purple letters trimmed in Vegas gold. Krieger from the defensive end loops one to the far side, and Emily Carter for Indiana Wesleyan. It goes out of play, and Massey will throw it in on the far side touchline for Taylor. And Riley will lay it off and let little sis Claire throw it in. Here's Hardy angling to the left. Slips a pass through to Rakes. 2 defenders there. Makes life troublesome for Alana. And Carter comes out of the scrum with the loose ball. Hits the brakes at the midline and works it back here on the far side of the field. Just 1 shot to speak of so far. That was from Lauren Turner just a few moments ago for Indiana Wesleyan. Cullen runs through a challenge. Orm took her feet out from underneath of her. Foul called against the Trojans. First one today against either side, and Iowa retains the possession going from left to right. Pass blocked down by the lower legs of Lindley, too. Right back to Cullen. To the middle of the field, and this will be Spoltman. Big pass back by Turner to the trailing Krieger on the far side. Left-footed pass to the middle of the box over everyone's head, sent back towards the middle of the penalty area. Loose in the air, 18, cleared away by the left foot of Riley Massey. Stevens will work it up to the center forward and Rakes. Alana heads into the air. She boxes out for her position. It goes over her head. And Carly King will play this one back to the middle of the defensive end with Cullen for Indiana Wesleyan. Spoltman has it taken away by 2. Orm plays it back up to 2 near side as 2's in a dead sprint. 0-0, almost 6.5 minutes into the opening half. 2 looking to create from the near side corner with 2 defenders right there watching her every step. Her pass is blocked. It works up the near side right to the feet of Iowa's Olivia Schmidt, one of the captains for the Wildcats here in 2020. Dempsey back across to the defensive end and Williams, then back up to Dempsey. Long pass to Orm. First touch trying to turn towards the middle. Once Rakes, she's taken down from behind, and the foul called against Anna Stevens. Stevens got too much of the feet of Alana Rakes, and now Taylor will have a nice set-piece opportunity. About 11 yards outside the 18 on the near side of the field. To ask for a clarification. She thinks the two IWU players are too close, and they are by about 3 to 4 yards. So Spoltman and Bowden will back up, and that gives two even more room to work here. Former Chinese national team member curls it in right to the keeper's stomach and Hope Stacker, who makes her first save today. As two cannot ride the wind, and it's still 0-0 as Taylor records their first shot today and the first shot on goal for either team. Big punt from Stacker. Still loose on the purple Trojan head at midfield, and IWU comes out of the scrum, finding Carter on the left edge. Across midfield moves Carter in gray. Her pass off the feet of Raina Williams up to Goebel for Taylor. She has it poked away from her. Williams comes in and drives a left foot through the defense and all the way to Stacker, who's the only one there for either team. The keeper lets it bounce in. She snags it at her knees and rolls it out to the near side with a right hand for Abby Cullen. Back to Anna Stevens in the penalty area. And the IWU defensive end is to try to build from the back. Cullen forward. Good pressure by Dempsey to force a turnover. 2 to Rakes. Back to 2 near side. She's got Orm to her left. She'll dump it off to her on the left edge of the 18. Orm looking to create. Took too much time. Cullen poked it away from her. And it rolls out on the near sideline, and Taylor will regroup after the nice takeaway there by the Trojans. Just could not get any good looks there as the IWU defense stood strong. Goebel left side, right-footed pass, tried to go between the legs of Bowden. She cut it down, 2 working her way back, runs through Bowden, but IWU able to keep the possession. Turner overruns it, and it'll be right-footed forward by Riley Massey. Claire Massey up to Rakes. The defender was all on the back of Rakes, couldn't get there. Tevens trying to apply pressure in the back. Bowden gets there just a step ahead. Claire Massey reads the pass beautifully, got there to poke it away. And IWU can just clear it up to midfield, and now they can try to create on the far side. No score, almost 9.5 minutes in as someone walks up in a giant bunny onesie. Far side for Indiana Wesleyan, trying to cross. Spinning back over her left shoulder is Sydney Brown. Surveying the area, Lauren Turner to the middle and Bowden. Right foot's one in, nobody there except the keeper, and that's Hannah Brackenbury who makes the catch above her head. So the man in the pink bunny outfit from the Christmas Story, A Christmas Story. Some of the Taylor boys have made their way to the bleachers to our left, and they are donning today's Halloween outfits. Throwing for Indiana Wesleyan far side with Lauren Turner. 2 shots to 1 right now in favor of Indiana Wesleyan. Each team with 1 shot on goal. This pass from the Wildcats will roll across the end line in the far corner. Then Brackenbury will pick up a loose ball from behind the net and get ready for the goal kick. About 50 degrees right now. We say good morning to our friend Michelle down in Australia, where it's already November since they're a day ahead of us. So hopefully November's off to a good start as we wrap up October here in the States. It is a beautiful day for soccer. Not too cold, not too hot. Could have used some of that Australian heat a couple of weeks ago, or at least in the nighttime when it's dropped down into the 30s. There was a frost warning for parts of the state last night. As Stevens works on the far side and jumps it back to Goebel. 5 yards outside midfield as Goebel dribbles to the midline. Across the line it goes, then off to Lindley too, who looks ahead and bashes a big left foot forward. There's too much juice on it as it sails over Morgan Orm's hedge. Couldn't get there in time. It's a goal kick upcoming here for Hope Stacker and the IWU Wildcats. Remember, it's a 2-0 win for Indiana Wesleyan when these two teams met earlier this season. Taylor trying to even the season series, even though it won't count for Crossroads League rankings. Taylor comes in tied for 5th. They have the tiebreaker with that team. They're tied with Mount Vernon. So the season ended today under the rules that we've been given. And as we know, the rules can change by the hour, by the day, by the second. Taylor right now would open up and go to Grace to start. Indiana Wesleyan would host a first-round quarterfinal match. Slipped in. Brackenbury might have gotten a piece of it as they tried to find Turner. Did Indiana Wesleyan. A little loop pass. Taylor was way too far ahead, and Taylor's head coach Scott Stan giving his defensive line an earful here as Brackenbury saves that they might have gotten a piece on the shot from Turner and keeps our match scoreless. Into the circle. Rakes, quick touch off to Hardy, and then off to Claire Massey far side. Massey legging it out, wants to curl one into Rakes. Two pass was too short to get there, and Iwu clears it away with Sydney Brown running underneath. Raina Williams trying to cut off her path as Brown works to the middle of the field, waiting for reinforcements. Lays it back into the center circle and Spoltman. And then off to the far side with Emily Carter, but she's got Orm barreling down behind. Orm comes in, makes life difficult for Spoltman, who hits the brakes and rotates away. Then off to Carter, who fills the spot. Actually make that Krieger. Krieger with a big right foot. Brackenbury tracking. It goes off the post, still loose in the 18. Cleared away nicely by Raina Williams. As trying to come to the near side of the field was Krieger. It hits the near side post, deflects away, and then Raina Williams clears it away, preventing an easy look out front as Olivia Schmidt was lurking just outside the goal box. The last 3 shots in a row for Indiana Wesleyan have all been on frame, and 2 have been nearly an inch or so away from going in. Orm and the Taylor women's soccer team trying to build out of the back here. Kicks this one off of an Iwu player, and Taylor will throw it in far sideline as everyone tries to catch their breath after the lightning strike quicks of offense here from Indiana Wesleyan. Hardy shoved out of the way by Bowden. Bagolo able to get the ball back. Low pass to 2 with 2 defenders right there. Flips one through. Tevens had to throw her left foot out there. The ball was bouncing with too much juice as Tevens couldn't knock it down cleanly. That'll set up an Iwu goal kick as entering for the first time today will be Michaela Crawford. She comes in to spell Brenna Streeter. 0-0 as we approach 15 minutes in here to the opening half. Indiana Wesleyan has outshot Taylor 4-1, including 2 shots to 1 on goal, with one of those shots ringing off the post. Crawford near side up to the midfield stripe. Turning and dumping it off was Brown, intended for Schmidt. Right footing one forward. Massey comes in, cuts it down, knees it down as well, then plays one off to Goebel. To the middle of the field, defensive side for Taylor and Claire Massey. Across the midline to Rakes, curls one nicely to Lindley, too, who's got some room to operate in the middle of the field. 2, maneuvering to her right, has got 5 defenders around her, is trying to be shoved off the ball. 2 spins back, has got some room to breathe. Big left foot shot was blocked, deflected back as Hardy thought about teeing one up from distance. Instead, she'll lay one off to the far side and Orm. The flag is in the air. Orm is called offside, which she disagrees with vehemently, and the Taylor students down below us agree with her. Beautiful little shoulder shake there by Lindley, too, to turn around and get some room to give one a go at the frame, but it was blocked by an Iwu defender who jumped in front right at the last moment. Still 0-0, but both teams' offensives have been clicking nicely here in the opening half so far with 29:30 remaining in the first stanza. Cullen's pass deflected to the middle by Tevens. 2 trying to step in, try to poke it along to Rakes. Couldn't find it to her cleanly as Anna Stevens has it, but she's circling as now Rakes pesters her from the left side. Pass off target. Hardy works it up to Rakes, her roommate. But it was cleared away by Indiana Wesleyan. Massey back underneath, heads one across the midline, then volleyed back over by Iwu. Dempsey, right footing one to Hardy, who had to spin away as Bowden came flying in. Bowden a touch around Claire Massey. Bowden right foots one to the middle. Over Williams' head, touched into the box, and Dempsey will clear it away as Olivia Schmidt was right there in the middle of the 18. Knocked it down with her right foot, but that initial first touch had too much pace to it, and that allowed Dempsey to clear it away as Schmidt couldn't kill the ball down right in front of her feet and then flick it onto the goal. Throw into the left edge of the 18, turning and shooting and having it blocked was Sydney Brown by Riley Massey's knees. Spoltman pokes it away from 2 as coming in as Abby Cullen on the near side, 8 in dark gray. Spoltman out to the far side of the field, hustling after it is Krieger. Nice pass forward into space. Massey converging on it. She'll box the Iwu player out. That was Emily Carter. And Brackenbury's got another goal kick here for TU. Kenzie Millar next to check in for Indiana Wesleyan. At the next opportunity, Taylor has yet to go to their bench here so far today. Brackenbury with the win. Goal kicks it forward. Headed down by Indiana Wesleyan off the knee of Hardy. Turns and faces the middle of the field, hits the brakes. She'll chuck Bowden to the turf and keep the ball moving in Taylor's favor. Raina Williams to the near side and Dempsey in front of the Taylor bench. Across the midline to Tevens, who's now on this side of the field from one of those forward spots instead of being on the right side. So Taylor makes an early switch tactically, flip-flopping Orm and Tevens. Brackenbury measuring. Then right foots one to the far side of the field. No one there in white, and so Emily Carter will scoop it up for Indiana Wesleyan. Flicking it forward to Brown, and then back to the far sideline and Carter, with Massey marking her for TU. Big move to the end line, across, and this one will sail behind the goal. And a goal kick upcoming for Taylor. Kenzie Millar enters for Indiana Wesleyan. She will spell whom. She'll get Olivia Schmidt, who's been very close to adding a goal to her total today. 4 shots to 2 in favor of Indiana Wesleyan. Both of Taylor's goals have been on, or shots have been on goal. 1 saved and 1 blocked. Multiple headers here. Iwu comes out of the scrum with it. Raina Williams throws her head in, and she'll get called for the foul as she went through the back of Sydney Brown, and that draws boos from the Taylor faithful down below us and a disagreement from Taylor head coach Scott Stan. And Lindley, too, stands over the ball, making sure that the free kick cannot happen before the officials whistle. She, Hardy, and Tevens all walk back to form the 3-woman wall. As Brackenbury shouts out instructions from the far side, or from the far side post. Riley Spoltman just on the edge of this 3-woman wall for Indiana Wesleyan. Krieger and Bowden back. Krieger looks to be taking it as Bowden runs over the top of the ball. Krieger in front sends one on, and it sails over the crossbar and through the football uprights. An interesting set there for Indiana Wesleyan. First time we've seen an opponent put someone close to the wall on a free kick. We've seen plenty of people run over the ball with 2 people before it's played in. But an interesting little wrinkle right there with Spoltman standing about 3 yards outside of the wall. Good move by Orm to truck through the tackle attempt, and she plays it up to Rakes. Rakes leads Goebel, and then off to the near side and Dempsey as we approach 25 minutes left to go here in the first half. Tevens runs to the middle in a scoreless first half. To the middle and Hardy volleys one to the near side over Tevens' head. Couldn't get to 2 as it's cut off by the right foot of Anna Stevens. Turner with a team-high 2 shots, eludes Dempsey and dishes it off before 2 could get there. Long ball to the near side. Brown slips one on to the far side of the box. Brackenbury there dives and smothers it up with no one lurking on the weak side, but a good look there from Sydney Brown trying to create. Five to 2, the shots in favor of Indiana Wesleyan. These are 2 of the 6 teams that went to the NAI opening round a season ago, with Indiana Wesleyan making it to the final site after winning the opening round site held here at Taylor in a blizzard. Tevens trying to fight through 2 Wildcat pressures. Sydney Brown comes out of it. Tevens kicks it away. And Indiana Wesleyan will throw in on the near sideline with Michaela Crawford. Crawford into Turner with 2 right there on her back hip. She'll lay it back to Cullen. Right footing one towards the top of the penalty area. Raina Williams cuts it off. Massey will knock it down with her collarbone. And then she'll jog out to the near side as Taylor tries to build from the back once again on a scoreless first half with less than 24 minutes remaining before halftime. Caroline Monberg ready to check in for TU at the next opportunity. And it'll be Krieger on the left edge in the defensive end. Big right boot forward over the head of the intended target, Millar. And Taylor turns and wants a quick throw in, but they'll hit the brakes as Caroline Monberg will come in for TU. And Courtney Cockrum comes in for Indiana Wesleyan. It'll be A.C. Hardy exiting for Taylor, and it looks like Emily Carter, the one to check out for the visitors from across the county. So Carter will check out, and Taylor's got the throw in far side as it's deflected back to Claire Massey. Gets through a challenge and off to Goebel, who eludes one defender. Up to Orm in tight quarters. Knocked away from her. Orm bullies her way through. Brown goes sprawling out, pops back up. And Taylor will quickly throw it in with C. Massey to the fresh legs of Caroline Monberg. Couldn't get through the first challenge as Iwu kicks it away. Riley Massey right there on top of it to send it back to where it came from. C. Massey heads into the middle. Goebel had good eyes on it to watch it sail over the Iwu player's head. Monberg to the middle in two. A good slide, however, by Sydney Brown. Eludes two from creating, but Dempsey will slip it on forward here to Tevens. Big run by Tevens. Couldn't get there to the end line. Good box out by Crawford. And it'll be a goal kick for Stacker in Indiana Wesleyan. Far sideline, Orm battling with it with the other number 17 out there, and Krieger. It went off of Krieger, and so Claire Massey will throw it in for Taylor. Taylor being outshot 5-2, each team with 2 shots on goal. Iwu, one of their 5 shots, have rang off the post. Orm tried to save it from going across the end line, could not. There's another goal kick here for the visitors with 21:34 left to go here in half number 1 with no score. Wind starting to pick up just a hair as more players down on the field reach for coats and hats and hoodies if they've not checked in yet. Most of the players on the field right now, no one wearing gloves outside of the goalies. That's expected. But no one really going for the long sleeves outside of Erin Tevens. The only one out there, but she's got those sleeves pulled up to her elbows. Tevens trying to apply pressure to the sprinting Lauren Turner, who turns and looks into the eyes of Lindley too before dishing it off to Spoltman. Iwu retreats as Bowden will regroup on the near sideline with Cullen in front of that Iwu bench. Bowden, a quick look up, sends a screamer off the turf. Slipping and losing her footing was Spoltman. Here comes Claire Massey with a whole bunch of artificial turf in front of her. Dinks one off to the far side and Orm right edge of the penalty area. Orm, left-footed shot in. It'll scoop in, an easy stop there for Hope Stacker. Not a lot of pace on the shot there from Orm. And an easy save for Stacker, her second one today. As Allie Claude ready to check in, and the man yelling, you guessed it, her fiance Clay. Easily her number 1 fan, and he lets everyone know about it. I asked him, I saw the two of them last night having dinner. I asked, are Clay, we're going to hear you tomorrow? And he had a big ear-to-ear grin and said, oh yeah. And he hasn't let us down. So good to see that Clay was a man of his word. And if he wasn't, I don't think Allie would have said yes to his proposal. 2 on the near side for Taylor. Loops one to the middle, just 5 yards away from connecting with Orm. Volleyed away by Krieger. Held in by the Trojans. Rakes has to go off the right side of her boot, and that's actually a lucky bounce for the Trojans. Monberg wanted to find Orm top of the penalty area. Iwu cleared it away. Rakes able to hold it in right side. Steps in from long distance. It goes off of Stacker's hands, and thankfully Stacker got enough on it to prevent it from going into the goal. It went right between the mitts, and it sails wide of the near side post, but that will allow Taylor to get their first corner kick opportunity of the day. And before that can happen, here comes the aforementioned Allie Claudio. She will replace Morgan Orm. Not the best of times to get the Orm substitution. We've seen how great Morgan can be, the leader in assists in the Crossroads League, particularly from corners with this near side play. This plays right to her right foot. Tevens will take it. She's no slouch in that department. Massey trying to storm her way in, but soaring over everybody is the keeper Stacker, and she'll flip it out to the near side in Krieger. Looks over her shoulder. She's got no one chasing her down as she legs it out across midfield. Krieger angling to the right edge of the center circle. Now back to her right foot. 2 there, but Krieger deals it off before 2 can make a play on it. Williams cuts it off the pass with a header. Massey to Claudio. Little touchdown to Monberg. 5 yards outside midfield on the Taylor defensive end. Taylor going from right to left in white, shooting on the goal to our left with 18:33 remaining here in half 1 with no score between the Grant County foes, Indiana Wesleyan at Taylor. At this point, when the team met early this season, Iowa had already scored. They scored less than 5 minutes into the opening half, and they added another one in the second stanza for their 2-0 victory here. Still scoreless with 18 and change left to go in half 1. Out of play far side off of Indiana Wesleyan. Claire Massey, just like Big Sis Riley, wasted no time throwing the ball in from the sideline for the Trojans. Raina Williams, long pass of the turf up to Lindley, too. A little behind the heel flick, near side to Tevens, who was too far away from the ball. As Stacker will come off the line, she'll check up, let it roll across the end line, and get ready for the goal kick after Jackie Fernandez enters for the visitors. Fernandez will take the place of Abby Cullen, who's been very active defensively, creating a lot of offense from the defensive end to start for Indiana Wesleyan. Taylor still being outshot by 1, 5-4, but they have the advantage in shots on goal, 4-2. Neither team has found the back of the net just yet. Both teams have had opportunities, Iowa with a couple more than the Trojans. Pass deflected down to Goebel for Taylor. To the far side, she wanted Claudio. Getting a piece of it was Krieger. Cut it off from getting to Claudio. Now Krieger hits the brakes, lets Claudio go sliding by, and now Iowa can build from the back with Emily Carter. Big right foot forward. Massey will throw her body. That's Claire Massey. Throws her body everywhere. Edged her way in here, but couldn't win the ball back for TU. As Krieger will set it up once again. Intended for Brown. Poked away by C. Massey. In the middle of the Massey children will throw it in. A bounce away here. Monberg trying to hustle to it, and it's knifed away by Fernandez before Monberg can make a play on it inside the 18. Massey into space. Claire couldn't connect with Claudio, and it's Krieger once again setting it up, but two will cut the pass down with her right foot. Two maneuvering in the middle. Pass to the middle of the field, and Rakes has got two cutting forward. Couldn't get it to her as Rakes works it back. Little poke to the top of the box in Monberg. Surveying with a left foot. Slipped it on. Couldn't connect with Tevens as the Pella had too much pace for Tevens to get to it. She had to hit the brakes to wait onside, but it was deflected on the way there, and Taylor's got a corner upcoming from the near side of the field. It's their second one of the afternoon. Massey and two are the two top targets for Tevens. She'll lay one back to Rakes, trying to catch Iwu napping. Rakes turns. Her shot was blocked. Trying to hold it in was Dempsey. She'll flick it back to the near side where Tevens is lurking. But turning and clearing is Indiana Wesleyan with Bowden. Actually, Spoltman was the one to clear it, and then Iwu will play it forward. But Goebel cuts the pass down from Brown, and now Taylor will build back in the defensive end with Riley Massey leading the charge. To Claire Massey with 15:33 and counting here in half one. Monberg to Goebel. And then to two, we'll let it roll on to this week's League Defender of the Week, Hannah Dempsey. Back to two on the left side of the field. Two hits the brakes, trying to elude the defender who came back to cut her off. Curling one forward. Claudio running in, but the ball bounced away from her as she was cutting in front of the defender. Iowa's goal kick will be held up before as they let Morgan Summers enter for the first time today. As Summers comes in to get Crawford. No long goal kick here for Indiana Wesleyan. They'll use the defenders to take it from the defensive end. Here's Fernandez, one of the captains that came off the bench a few moments ago. Her pass cut down and flipped to the middle by Hannah Dempsey of Taylor. Two with three defenders there circling, trying to find an open sliver of space. Still dancing with it like the ball's on a string, and then she'll calmly lay it on back to Raina Williams. To Riley Massey, then off to the near side, and this will be Dempsey. And now Williams. 10 yards outside midfield. Williams inside the circle. Big first touch from Rakes allows Bowden to poke it away. And then Dempsey will rifle one forward. Big bounce over Krieger's head. Claudio trying to leg it out, but not enough speed as he wisely seeing it and reading it perfectly with Stacker to pounce on it before Claudio could try to use some of her wheels and get around the Iwu defense. Back heel flick to nobody by Summers. There's a miscommunication there with Brown, who is behind her. Brown zagged when Summers thought she was going to zig. And out of the defensive end, Iowa will build once again with Anna Stevens. To Krieger, has been very active the last handful of minutes. And she'll right foot one with great pace up to the midline. Massey right there on the back of Millar. Looping one near side to Lauren Turner, who snuck behind the Taylor D. Big first touch for Turner. She shoots, and this one will go wide to the far side post. Second time today we've seen the Trojans get caught looking as one of the Iowa defenders went sprinting behind them on the weak side. This time it was Turner, and she misses to the far side post as she tried to get the shot off before Dempsey could regroup. Taylor head coach Scott Stan not happy with some of the defensive adjustments and choices by his back line here in the opening half. Thankfully for he and the Trojans, they have avoided giving up a goal. But Iowa's gotten very close here with 12:42 and counting here in half one. Taylor throw in for Dempsey. Into Emma Goebel. Near side Tevens, little touches, it'll dance the near sideline, stays in. But Fernandez right there. Tried to fake out Tevens. Tevens wouldn't bite, and then Fernandez turns and curls one around the goal scorer for the Trojans. But then the pass turned over and taken away by Goebel. Her pass cut down by Turner, who snuck behind the Taylor D a few moments ago. She'll try to thread this one through here. Raina Williams cuts it off for TU. Raina gets tied up, goes sprawling down with Millar on the right edge of the penalty area. Up top, shot by Bowden, flicked on, and this one will go wide to the near side on the best chance for Iowa to score today. 7th shot for the Wildcats. This one taken by Courtney Cockrum, who was lurking there in the penalty area. Great ping-ping passing with Bowden up top. Then the one touch there from Cockrum just went wide to the near side post. 11:42 left to go here in the opening half. No score between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. But the 7 shots for the Wildcats, only 2 on goal, but they've had 1 go off the post and a couple others that have been very dangerous. They've just been off target by a few feet or so. Fernandez, with Taylor giving her plenty of space, she takes it all the way across the midfield. 2 pounces on her, deflects the pass, and Tevens gives it up to 2. Now off to Goebel, surveying things to her right, and lays it back to Massey, one of the backline players for Taylor. This is Riley Massey. But her pass from Monberg didn't have enough juice to get there. Monberg won it back, and then Riley Massey will punch it really far to the far side, and her little sister Claire. See Massey to Rakes. Claudio trying to fight for position with Krieger. Both young ladies jostling for position. It goes off of whom? They'll say it went off of Claudio. Taylor unhappy with it as the hand fighting was going on between Krieger and Claudio. .10:35 and counting here in half one of an exciting first half so far, still in search of its first tally. Final game of the season for both of these teams. They'll both be in the Crossroads League tournament that starts a week from today. Indiana Wesleyan will be at home as one of the top 4 seeds. Right now it looks like the Trojans will be going on the road to Grace as the 5 seed if things hold as they currently sit. 2 circles away from pressure, now dances back and then plays it off to Dempsey. And then Williams. And then Riley Massey. Big right foot from our Massey over rakes his head, flicked on back to Iwu's side of the attacking side of the field with Millar. But then she can't hold on to it as the Massey sisters work to try to build it from the back. Monberg. Rakes got her toe on it, couldn't do anything with it, and this ball will calmly roll to the other end of the field and be the property of Hope Stacker. And then quickly gives it off to Fernandez like a hot potato. Anna Stevens, and now Krieger. Plenty of turf to work with as she gets ahead of steam going up, and then right foots one forward. Massey cuts it off with her knees. That's Claire Massey. And then Goebel will try to poke it into space. Monberg got out of her way, and a little miscommunication between the freshman classmates there gives Iwu the ball back, with Anna Stevens operating in the defensive end. And now Krieger. Big right foot into the wind, loops over the Taylor D, trying to head it forward. Will be Iwu. Good hustle back by Claire Massey as she cuts off Courtney Cockrum. Hannah Adams comes in for Indiana Wesleyan. She'll replace whom? Sydney Brown. Some of the Taylor students wanted them to take Lauren Turner out. But Coach Schieffer for Indiana Wesleyan does not want her to leave the field. He would like Sydney Brown to come off and get a breather. 2, flicking it back with her head, held in by Fernandez for Indiana Wesleyan. The fresh legs of Adams pounced upon and taken away by 2. Midfield and Stevens, up to Rakes, threw that right foot out in front of it. Couldn't keep it going in Taylor's favor for the time being. And it'll be Turner here on the near side, the aforementioned number 4. Good hustle by Raina Williams, got a toe on it, went off of Hannah Adams. And Dempsey will throw it in near sideline for the home team. Turner heads it down, back to Dempsey of Taylor. Up to 2, no one behind her. Walking, waiting for the pressure to come, and now she'll make her move to Spoltman, with Spoltman defending, I should say. And then the ball finds the feet of Riley Massey to the far side of the field and her sister Claire. Chloe Senna getting some last-minute words from assistant coach Katie Beal, who played and was a fine player at Indiana Wesleyan, an all-league first-team selection with platinum blonde hair her senior year. Now more of a brunette now after graduation, just a few short years ago. Goebel to the middle of the field in 2. The defensive pressure comes. 2 tries to shake it away. She's got Dempsey near side, calls for it and gets it. 7:18 to go first half. Dempsey fading away with that left foot. Iwu couldn't clear out of the box cleanly, but they're able to find the feet of Spoltman, who gets it away from trouble off to Adams. Adams with her red karate headband to match her red Nike socks. And then Fernandez right foots one forward, knocked down by the bottom of the boot of Summers. She'll rotate and keep it away from Lindley too. To Turner, quick touch. Couldn't pass it off as Williams is there to intercept for Taylor. Massey to Monberg. Claudia wants to get away from the pesky Krieger. Lays it back, but that pass intercepted, but Claire Massey pokes it away from Summers. Claudia to Rakes, who touches it back to Monberg. Now 2 in the middle. She's got Rakes cutting the middle. She can find her. She wants to go that way. Alana has to check up so she wasn't offside. And the pass too far out in front. And with 6:24 and counting here in the first half, it'll be another goal kick from the neon yellow-clad keeper, Hope Stacker. And she'll punt this one into the air with the wind not really blustering too much. First time we've seen Stacker punt it in the air in some time. Normally plays it on the turf low and slow, like you cook a nice set of baby back ribs to one of her defensive mates. 2 through the struggle. He's got only gray shirts in front. 2, touch off to space inside the box. Lindley, 1 extra step to greatness, hits the brakes and works back to her right foot. 2, 1 to work it on back, is deflected back to Teven. Steps in from distance. It was knuckled on the way there. And Stacker able to come back to her left and make the save on the 5th shot on goal by the Trojans, and their 5th one today. Just not enough juice on that shot, as it even kind of knuckled in the air. Went to the left and then kind of dove back down to the right. Stacker was able to read it clean as no one was there in front to block her vision. Still 0-0 with 5:23 and counting here in half 1, but an exciting first half so far. Monberg wanted Claudio. Krieger had other ideas, and now Fernandez will set it up for Indiana Wesleyan. On the turf, Fernandez plays it. Good physical play by Williams to shoulder Summers out of the way. That gives 2 an opportunity to play it off to Tevens. Tevens to the middle, looking for help. Then we'll dump it down into space to the freshman Claire Massey. See Massey up to Claudio, telegraphed the pass. Krieger swam through Claudio, got the ball cleanly, but couldn't keep moving it up the far side as then Massey turns it over. She plays it right to Millar of Iwu. Millar up to Summers. They've got Adams cutting to the middle. Summers trying to survey the area. Summers with Riley Massey watching her every step. Summers turns and sends one a looper into the box. Dempsey got her head on it, couldn't clear it away cleanly. There's Turner, heads it up into the air. Tevens heads it down into space. Trying to jog after it is Tevens. She can't get there, and Fernandez will play it back to the top of the 18. Flicked away by Goebel. 1 bounce. Rakes couldn't get there in time, as now Fernandez will retreat, but Rakes is right there to watch her every step. Good pressure there by the sophomore Rakes, who has found her rhythm scoring goals in the last week or so, scoring some buttes. Dempsey cuts it off for Taylor, up to 2. Looks over that left shoulder to see where the pressure comes from. Calmly dumps it down to Williams. Then off to the near side. Not enough pace to get to Dempsey as Adams cut it off. But Raina Williams sidesteps Adams and then finally gets the pass off to Dempsey. Left foot's one to Goebel. Big right-footed pass up to Rakes. Wanted to come to the near side where there's plenty of space. Rakes will chuck Anna Stevens out of the way and then dish off to 2, who yo-yos the ball back and then plays it off to Riley Massey. Massey to Monberg. Far side, C. Massey. Too much on that pass as subs will enter for the Trojans. 1, it'll be Chloe Senna. The other number 3, Indiana Wesleyan's Carly King comes in. And it'll be Kylie Amen in for the Wildcats, as Iowa has played a multitude of players here in the opening half. Taylor has kept their reserves on a tight string. So Senna comes in for the final 3 minutes and change, replacing Rakes at the center forward spot. Kenzie Millar exits along with Lauren Turner for Indiana Wesleyan. Loose ball, Goebel couldn't play it forward, but it's deflected right off to 2. Tried to thread the needle to Senna, kicked away by the Iwu defense, as Riley Massey retreats into her own defensive end and plays it off to C. Massey. And then Goebel, defensive end, middle of the field 2. To the midline and Dempsey with 2:35 remaining in the scoreless first half. Up to Senna, good read by Carter to poke the pass away for Indiana Wesleyan. King with the fresh legs. Dempsey takes that pass and plays it right off to 2, turns and hits the jets up the near side of the field. 2 players there. Tevens wanted Senna, but it was Fernandez who cut off, but good work by Senna to try to work her way back and try to win the ball back for TU as she continues to apply pressure on the back line of Indiana Wesleyan. Near side curl to King, who's got plenty of artificial surface to run on with no pressure trying to slow her down. She'll play one up as Taylor was backpedaling and allowed Raina Williams to read the pass, deflect it off to Claire Massey. Less than 2 minutes to go here in the scoreless first stanza. Taylor and Chloe Senna trying to get one last push here before halftime. C. Massey loops it over everyone's head. Claudio's got a beat on it as she's onside of the end line. And she plays it nicely off the defender's feet of Cockrum. Her fiance voices his approval. And Taylor will have their third corner of the opening half with less than 90 seconds remaining when the ball's played in. It'll be the far side of the field with Senna. She cannot play an in-swinger, being the dominant right-footed player. But can she find Massey or 2 or Dempsey on the weak side? This one low, and it'll sail out of play behind the goal. And with about a minute left, that's how much time will be left when Stacker plays this one in. There's the 1 minute mark, 55 seconds left. Then Stacker will right foot one forward. Let's see if Iowa's got one last offensive push here. Massey cuts down, and maybe Taylor can get a quick counter here. Good read, however, by Spoltman to dart in front of the pass. Up to Summers. Try to play it forward to Adams. Williams right there, coming back to help is Goebel, forcing Adams to spin away from pressure. Summers left foots one on to the near side of the box, where Tevens will track it down for Taylor. With 27 seconds left, she'll dish it off to the near side of the field. King to throw it in for Indiana Wesleyan. 19 seconds left. It'll be one last push here for the Wildcats, trying to get the first goal of the match today. Summers just chucked down in the box as she collided with the brick wall known as Raina Williams.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
It'll be a corner. Sprinting, trying to get there in time to play it. And will not happen as Bowden sprinted there, couldn't get there in time before the whistle blows, and that'll do it for our first half of play. Taylor outshot by 1, 7-6, but they had more shots on goal, 5-2, but neither team able to find the back of the net as we head to the second half of play. After this halftime break, it's Taylor 0, Indiana Wesleyan 0 here on the Trojan Sports Network.
The decision you're making is about so much more than where you'll spend the next 4 years. It's about how you'll live the next 40. So let me break down the Taylor University experience. We integrate faith and learning to become well-rounded, lifelong learners, while delivering a deeper knowledge of our specific areas of study. Whether you're producing award-winning films, building satellites for NASA, or preparing for a national ethics debate, Taylor will push you to excel in your field. But excellence isn't always about having the right answers. Sometimes it's about asking the right questions. Taylor is interdenominational. That means we can't always fall back on specific church doctrine to settle issues. We rely on scripture and the dynamic nature of iron sharpening iron to better know the God who's not afraid of our question. Much of this happens in the small town of Upland, Indiana, the place where Taylor does life together. But don't let this small town fool you. The schedule is packed with things to do, and through these activities, faculty, staff, and students become more than individuals occupying the same address. They become a community. But this community isn't limited to the campus. We travel, boy do we travel. We are ranked as one of the top 10 schools in the country for overseas experiences. But it isn't just about the going. It's about the sharing of those experiences and being challenged by those who come to Upland as their international experience. Taylor is one of a few Christian colleges that expects all students to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, this doesn't mean Taylor is a Christian Disneyland full of cardboard cutout perfection. Taylor is full of real people with real problems, and living together can get kind of messy. But in that mess, we take Jesus' call from John 13 seriously. We practice picking up our towel and dealing with the mess in each other's lives. We're not here just to follow the rules for 4 years. Instead, we hope to learn to live authentic lives, calling each other to lives of meaning. Every day, our focus remains on the 40, not just the 4. We'd love to show you more about Taylor. Come visit. Sit in on a class, go to chapel, spend a night in a residence hall. Experience the difference for yourself.
What limits you? Too small, too old, insecure, broken. You have no limits. Rethink your limits.
When you need the fuel to be your nephew's #1 fan, Holiday Inn Express. We're there, so you can be too.
Ivanhoe's has been serving Taylor students since 1965, when Ivan and Carol Slane purchased the restaurant. Located on Main Street, Ivanhoe's is less than a mile from the Taylor campus and is open 7 days a week. The menu features choices for lunch, dinner, as well as 100 different milkshakes and sundaes. Customers can find other dessert items as well. The staff is proud to support Taylor University and appreciates the support of Ivanhoe's through the years.
Your heart? Well, your heart is everything to you and your body, and its favorite place to be is home. Marion General Hospital has been named a nationally accredited chest pain center, which is the highest accomplishment in cardiovascular care. We are proud to provide our community with a team of cardiac experts throughout MGH. From our ambulance and emergency room to our cardiovascular departments in partnership with our experienced local cardiologists and interventional cardiologists from St. Vincent's Medical Group. The same level of cardiovascular expertise in bigger cities at larger hospitals is available right here. Everyone has their expertise. At MGH, our expertise is your heart, bringing the best in the nation home to you. Your heart is in the right place at MGH.
The decision you're making is about so much more than where you'll spend the next 4 years. It's about how you'll live the next 40. So let me break down the Taylor University experience. We integrate faith and learning to become well-rounded, lifelong learners, while delivering a deeper knowledge of our specific areas of study. Whether you're producing award-winning films, building satellites for NASA, or preparing for a national ethics debate, Taylor will push you to excel in your field. But excellence isn't always about having the right answers. Sometimes it's about asking the right questions. Taylor is interdenominational. That means we can't always fall back on specific church doctrine to settle issues. We rely on scripture and the dynamic nature of iron sharpening iron to better know the God who's not afraid of our question. Much of this happens in the small town of Upland, Indiana, the place where Taylor does life together. But don't let this small town fool you. The schedule is packed with things to do, and through these activities, faculty, staff, and students become more than individuals occupying the same address. They become a community. But this community isn't limited to the campus. We travel, boy do we travel. We are ranked as one of the top 10 schools in the country for overseas experiences. But it isn't just about the going. It's about the sharing of those experiences and being challenged by those who come to Upland as their international experience. Taylor is one of a few Christian colleges that expects all students to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, this doesn't mean Taylor is a Christian Disneyland full of cardboard cutout perfection. Taylor is full of real people with real problems, and living together can get kind of messy. But in that mess, we take Jesus' call from John 13 seriously. We practice picking up our towel and dealing with the mess in each other's lives. We're not here just to follow the rules for 4 years. Instead, we hope to learn to live authentic lives, calling each other to lives of meaning. Every day, our focus remains on the 40, not just the 4. We'd love to show you more about Taylor. Come visit. Sit in on a class, go to chapel, spend a night in a residence hall. Experience the difference for yourself.
What limits you? Too small, too old, insecure, broken. You have no limits. Rethink your limits.
Best One Tire and Auto Care Upland is proud to support Taylor University Athletics. Located at 148 South Main Street, Best One is open 6 days a week. Owner Mike Pearson and his staff offer replacement tires from brands like Bridgestone, Firestone, and Goodyear. Customers can also shop for tires from the comfort of their home by using the online tire finder. When it's time for mechanical repairs, Best One's ASE certified technicians can perform a wide range of services to get their customers back on the road. And those same technicians can do repairs on fleet vehicles as well. Taylor Athletics says thank you to Mike Pearson and everyone at Best One Tire and Auto Care Upland.
It's true. Many of us spend more time thinking about what's for dinner than thinking about retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, we agree, and we'd like to help. Your local Edward Jones financial advisors, Ryan Jones, Mark Sieglin, and Rob Sisson, can help you get started today. They are proud corporate partners of Taylor University Athletics. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Greek's Pizzeria in Upland opened its doors in December of 2017. Over the years, there have been more than 140 Greeks opened across the country, with 24 Indiana locations. When it comes to pizza, Greeks offers customers the option to create their own pizza or to try one of Greek's specialized pizzas. Greeks uses fresh, homemade, hand-tossed dough, Greek's Italian sauce, select blended cheeses, gourmet toppings, and the same method of preparation since the first restaurant opened in 1969. The kitchen can also whip up a sandwich served on fresh French-style bread, or it can put that sandwich into a pizza shell wrap. Customers can also add breadsticks or French-style bread as a side item. Greeks also offers a selection of salads and assorted dressings as well. Greeks is located just off Main Street in Upland and is a proud supporter of Taylor University Athletics. Greek's Pizzeria. It's our taste.
Second half underway here from Turner Stadium. No score after one half of play. Indiana Wesleyan had the edge in shots 7-6. Taylor had the edge in shots on goal 5-2. Brackenbury made 2 saves in the first half for Taylor, 4 saves for Hope Stacker of Indiana Wesleyan. You know, it was a quick start for Iowa when these two teams met back at the end of September. A goal coming in the 4th minute for the Wildcats from Carter off of a header. Then they scored in the 57th minute for their 2 goals for their 2-0 victory back there on September 26th. We are still looking in search of the first goal of the day for either team. Taylor's going to have the wind in their face here in this second half after having the wind at their backs in the first. So Brackenbury in the goal to our left. She gets ready for the goal kick into the teeth of that wind. We're in the low 50s. When that wind picks up, it can drop it down to the low 40s, high 30s. As two will head it out to play near side. It'll be a throw-in on the near side for Mallory Krieger for the Iowa Wildcats, clad in dark gray and light gray shorts today. Taylor in the home whites, purple numbers, and the Vegas gold trim. Bowden back to Spoltman for Iowa as they set things up defensively. Cullen has it far side, had to hit the accelerator after she was backpedaling to keep the ball away from Orm. She was successful in doing so. Then off to Lauren Turner. Turner, one of the top offensive players for Indiana Wesleyan. Second in goals with 6 this season. This centering ball deflected away by Massey of Taylor, down to 2. Little flick forward to Hardy, and then she'll sweep it on to Rakes. Rakes has got Tevens cutting to the middle. She'll bash it in deep, and Tevens has got to accelerate, but Krieger will cut her off, and Tevens will hit the brakes as Stacker comes off her line, scoops up the bouncing ball, then rolls it back out to Anna Stevens, one of her defenders. So they're trying to find the quick strike offense there. Cannot connect with Tevens on the long ball with the long run. Far sideline, Turner keeps the ball from rolling out of play. Williams will mark her up for Taylor. Turner thought about going to the end line, overran the ball, but then Williams will take it away calmly and then press it up the far side of the field. Orm will touch it down, shoved off the ball, and then it goes right back to Turner for Indiana Wesleyan. Pass intercepted by Goebel. Up to Rakes, touched it back down to Hardy, but Hardy was focusing on running forward and overran the ball, and the ball goes back to Indiana Wesleyan as Morgan Summers starts the second half for the Wildcats after coming off the bench in the first half. Too many dribbles there for Sydney Brown. One too many, pushes it across the end line. And a goal kick upcoming for Brackenbury. Bowden keeps it in Iwu's attacking half. Dempsey will loft it into the air, trying to force her way through his Orm. Hardy couldn't get away from Bowden. And then Bowden off to Spoltman. Spoltman left-footed pass forward. Trying to deflect it onto the middle was Brown as it eventually finds the way there in Summers. Summers trying to work it back to her right foot, goes through a couple tackles, runs into Raina Williams, and then Taylor sends it back up to midfield. Krieger cuts it down, bounces off of her hip. She's able to play keep away from the pesky Alana Rakes. Bowden to Cullen. And a good challenge here by Orm. Takes it right away from Cullen. Now off to Rakes. Taylor running forward. Here's a long pass with Tevens onside. She can go one-on-one with Stacker. Tevens shoots and Stacker stops it. Still loose to the far side as Stackers will slide and hustle. An amazing stop for Stacker as she was 1v1 with Tevens. She dove and stopped the stud goal scorer and keeps the match at 0s with almost 5 minutes gone here in the first half. Best save of the day for Stacker, and easily one of the highlights of her freshman season. As Tevens did what Iwu did in the first half, snuck behind the defense. Taylor played a beautiful ball to her. Just could not cash in as Stacker dove and stopped 12 in white. Now Tevens plays it beautifully away from Spoltman. Tried to thread it through to Rakes. It was cut down by Krieger. And now Krieger will operate here on the near side, left footing one forward. Letting the ball bounce to her is Brown, but she's offside. The flag in the air all the way across from us. First offside against Indiana Wesleyan today. Taylor has got one to their name. As someone's brought out a drum since halftime. Tevens steps through the Krieger challenge, poked away by Indiana Wesleyan, but 2 takes it right back in front of her own bench down on the near sideline. 2, Tevens lets it go through to Rakes. Alana working to the middle. Orm directing where she wants the ball to go. It got deflected before Orm could get the ball cleanly. Raina Williams leans in, heads it forward. Summers comes back and picks up the loose change for Indiana Wesleyan and plays it off to the keeper, Stacker. Stacker turns and right foots one to the far side of the field. As again, the Iowa defense will try to build it up. Cullen comes in. She's challenged hard by Orm and forces an off-target pass that's taken away by 2. Tevens will end to one-touch it off to Hardy. Might could have kept it and kept moving to her right. Instead, Iwu builds from the back once again. Goebel throws her right hip in front of this long pass. Hardy with the back heel flick into space where Goebel will pick it up for TU. Pushing it on to the far side and Orm. Morgan, this week's Crossroads League Offensive Player of the Week, curls one. Hardy with a back heel flick into the air as the ball was behind her. And two, and the Trojans trying to work back. Iwu unable to clear as Massey has to go off of her knee. Steps in front and just toes it off to Claire. Massey to Massey. Claire near side to Tevens, who plays it off of Krieger, and Taylor will throw it in. Claire Massey with a quick restart right back into Tevens. Trying to slice through two Iwu defenders, lays it off to two near side. Two's got room to her left foot, couldn't play that. She deflected off of her own boot. But Goebel able to get it back near side to Claire Massey, who just threw a toe in front to keep it from going out of play. Iwu will bash this one to the other end of the field. Riley Massey coming back. She'll flick it on to Brackenbury. Pressure comes from Turner, and Brackenbury calmly lofts it into the air. One bounce to the near side, and Claire Massey who will chest it down into space. Rakes touching it back to Goebel, but didn't have enough pace to get there, and Iwu forces the turnover. Then two Iwu players run into one another, and Taylor's fans are irate. Goebel wrapped up Stevens a little bit, but the two Iwu players ran right into one of another, Stevens and Brown, and it's Goebel who's whistled for the foul, and the officials get an earful from the home fans. Kortenhoven ready to come in for TU. We did not see Kate in the first half. Third-year head coach Daniel Seifert hollering out instructions to his team on the field where he wants them to cut and move on this Krieger free kick 10 yards inside midfield near side. To the middle of the box, Turner gets behind everybody near side and will just miss the near side post by about a foot or so. It was played in nicely, a beautiful ball that rode the wind by Krieger on the near side. As Kortenhoven will come in to give Tevens her first breather of the day.
Substitution for the Trojans, number 14.
Hardy trying to find it to Orm. Orm wanted to give it back to her, could not, and Iwu turns it over, or forces the turnover, I should say. And now it's Turner on the right side for Indiana Wesleyan. Off to Crawford in the corner, marked by Dempsey. Crawford sends one in. It'll sail off wide behind the goal, not touched by Dempsey. And so a goal kick upcoming here for Brackenbury and the Trojans. 36-20 left to go here in the second half. No score between the two Grant County rivals, Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. Shots about even, 8-7 in favor of Indiana Wesleyan. Taylor, though, with the advantage in shots on goal, 6-2. Scoring chances just about even, with maybe a couple more in favor of the visitors from Marion, Indiana. Brown and Iwu cuts down the goal kick from Brackenbury. Massey cuts down the initial try from Brown, and now Taylor trying to work it up to Rakes, and they do. Alana goes to the far side of the field, and Morgan Orm, this week's Crossroads League Offensive Player of the Week. Coming off the career-high 3 assists against Bethel last Saturday, she sprints on the left edge of the 18, plays it between a defender's feet, but couldn't get back to it in time. And then they'll get Orm for the foul in the back as she ran through the defender, Anna Stevens. Fourth foul against Taylor, and that gives the Taylor faithful down below us something to argue about. It'll be Krieger again, who's been a key cog for Indiana Wesleyan, setting things up and creating from the defensive end. Riley Massey pokes it away. Kortenhoven plays it off the Iwu defender. That was Brown. Good job by the newcomer, Kortenhoven. A quick restart by Claire Massey, too quick as our official wasn't ready, and that allows Iwu to fall back in defensively, and Massey will throw it into two. Claire wants to find Rakes, off target and headed it back to the near side by Stevens. Tight quarters with Spoltman for Indiana Wesleyan, now off to Krieger, who will mash one all the way to the right, to the far side of the field with her right foot. Dempsey will chase it down. She'll check up and watch it roll out of play and throw it in. As we've gone past 10 minutes played here in the second half, Courtney Cochran ready to come in for Iowa at the next opportunity. Cullen, her long pass intercepted by Goebel of Taylor. Couldn't keep pressing up the left side, so she'll lay it on back to Raina Williams of TU. And then near side to C. Massey. Up to Kortenhoven. Massey fills the space, and Taylor keeps moving it forward. She's got Rakes in front of her. Massey plays it in, but too far for anyone to make a play on, as 2 had to make sure she stayed on side. As Cochran will come in before the goal kick by Stacker. Emily Carter will exit for Indiana Wesleyan. And Stacker, like she's done most of the day, keeps this goal kick on the ground and plays it back to one of her defenders. Quickly to the far side of Michaela Crawford. 10 in gray has got Morgan Orm barreling down on her, dishes it off before any pressure could come. Summers wide open in the middle of the field for Indiana Wesleyan, trying to play it up the middle. Cut off by Williams. Brackenbury comes in, stops it, still loose, and then she'll pick it up off the turf. As cutting through the middle was Sydney Brown. And Raina Williams got back and made it just a little difficult. As 2 tried to curl with the Kortenhoven, taken away by the newcomer Cochran. Cochran shaking away from the defender to the middle, and Lauren Turner couldn't get a clean receive, and now Goebel plays it up to 2, sweeping it along to Rakes, then back to 2 at midfield. Up to the middle, and AC Hardy, who's got wheels for days. That first touch was not pretty, and Taylor can't keep it moving forward as it got scooped up by Iowa defenders. Goebel right-footing it off to Hardy. And then Hardy tried to play it to Kortenhoven, trying to cut it down unsuccessfully was Cochran, but it'll turn out for the best for Indiana Wesleyan. They'll throw it in from the deep near corner in their defensive end. As some of the Taylor fans ask for a foul against the defender that was marking up Hardy. Krieger to throw it in on this near sideline for Indiana Wesleyan. Massey, then 2, and then Kortenhoven left foots one in the box. Rakes trying to knife her way in, taken away and played all the way to the far side by Bowden before Rakes could do anything with it. Long pass by Indiana Wesleyan. Dempsey sends it back to Taylor's attacking half. Bowden hops into the air, couldn't keep it playing forward as Hardy scooped it up underneath her. Goebel to the far sideline and Orm. Rakes flicking it back to Orm, left side of the field. Orm trying to get away through the first challenge. Orm falls down. It rolls to the end line. Taylor's fans begging for a foul. They won't get it, but the Trojans will get a corner. Their first one of the second half, their 4th one of the day. And this is where we've seen Orm get an assist from this very corner just a week ago. You know who her favorite targets are. 2 and Massey. No score, about 15 minutes into the second half. Far side corner, low curler in. 2 trying to flick it on, still loose in the 18. Poked away from 2 before she could play it on frame. Lindley scoops it back up, steps in front with a rising shot that sails over the near side corner. And out of play it goes as 2 made good work in tight quarters with many Iowa defenders surrounding her. Massey steps in front of the clearance try by Cochran. And Massey throws her head in front of this one. That's Claire. Raina Williams bodied by Turner. And Raina able to box out the goal scorer for Iowa and plays it off to Dempsey. No goals so far as we approach 30 minutes remaining here in the second half, and a fun one here from Turner Stadium in the regular season finale for both teams. Claire Massey follows it forward to 2. Pinpoint pass to Rakes, goes off of her foot with a little too much pace. And Iowa unable to get out of their defensive end with Goebel holding it in and then back to the midline and Dempsey. Dempsey to Orms, trying to box out Crawford, and does. And then Williams, right footing it back to Massey. Taylor in the defensive end. Riley Massey up to Claire. Near side, Kortenhoven. Krieger tried to get there. Kortenhoven poked away before Krieger could get there. But Taylor unable to keep moving it forward as the ball is stopped about the midway point here of the offensive end for TU. Claire Massey coming forward. It bounces off the hip and the hand of Cochran, and it's a handball against Cochran. It was right there as Cochran's hand was near her right hip, but it got her in the hand, and now it's a free kick for Riley Massey, 15 yards inside midfield, near side. No scores. We dip below 30 minutes left to go here in half 2. A skip and a right-footed barrel in for Massey. Curling it in. Summers heads it away for Indiana Wesleyan. Goebel holds it in for Taylor. To the near side of the field, Kortenhoven lays it back to Claire Massey with plenty of room to operate. 2 calling for it, curling it to the top of the 18, headed away by Indiana Wesleyan and right down to Lauren Turner in gray. Summers to Spoltman. Near side to Cockrum, who gets it away before two could pounce on her. And that pressure from Lynn Lee forced the ball to be kicked out of play as Claire Massey quickly throws it into her freshman classmate Goebel. So it's Emma Goebel back to Riley Massey to Raina Williams and all the way to the far side and Hannah Dempsey. Shots 8-8 between the two teams, 6-2 in shots on goal go in favor of TU. Taylor had 10 shots and these teams met in September. Indiana Wesleyan had 17 of them. Neither team had as many shots on goal as they do today, or Indiana Wesleyan has just 2. They had 4 that day, 2 of them finding the back of the net. Taylor had just 3 shots on goal at Wildcat Field back in September. Crossroads League tournament starts next Saturday, a week from today. Taylor most likely will be on the road. Indiana Wesleyan should be at home. Hardy from distance, too much loft on it, and it sails off the near side upright of the football crossbar. And before the goal kick for Indiana Wesleyan can commence, Olivia Schmidt and Brenna Streeter make their first second half appearances. Both were starters to begin the match off. Sydney Brown will exit along with Michaela Crawford for Indiana Wesleyan. Wind at the back of the Wildcats here in half number 2. And Stacker uses that wind to her advantage, sending one perfectly to Schmidt, but she couldn't make a clean play on it as Rakes keeps it for Taylor. Hardy, left side of the field. Taylor shoots on the goal to our right. Rakes trying to get the one touch back to Hardy. She did. Pass was deflected before it could get on to Orm. And Iwu clears it away all the way on the far side of the field. Dempsey gets a fresh soccer ball and throws it right into Orm as Taylor with a quick restart. Orm working back to her left foot, curling one in. Kortenhoven couldn't get there cleanly. Good box out by Cockrum. As Kortenhoven was the intended target, Cockrum just stepped right in front, boxed her out, and that prevented Kortenhoven from getting a clean run on the cross try from Orm. Massey right foots one down, but right to Turner of Indiana Wesleyan in the center circle for those wearing gray. Taylor in the home whites this afternoon, as here comes Krieger again up the near side. She's got a head of steam, but her second touch was too strong. Poked away by the Trojans. Rakes comes back and takes it away from Spoltman for Taylor. All the way to Orm on the far side, who's got some room to work. That room slowly being taken away. Pass was too much and too far for Hardy to make a run at. And it's an easy stab inside the 18 for the keeper Stacker. Right-footed punt with the wind. Sails well across midfield on a good boot from Stacker. To the far side of the field, nobody there, and so it'll be calmly scooped up by Brenna Streeter. To Turner in the middle, lofts one in the air with that right foot. Massey and Williams there for Taylor trying to get there and trying to make life difficult was number 11. That was Olivia Schmidt. But Brackenberry comes out and scoops up the bouncing ball inside midfield. And the match remains scoreless as we work our way close to 26 minutes left to go here in regulation time. Off the drop kick from Brackenbury, Iowa able to regroup in the defensive end with Krieger once again. Almost faked her own self out, able to get space away from Rakes as the ball got caught underneath her left boot. Stevens stops and then comes back to the near side of the field for Krieger and Iowa in the defensive end. Big boot Krieger. Summers has snuck behind Taylor. The flag in the air. Taylor athletic trainer Joe Walter, the first one on it. As one of the assistant coaches for Iowa comes stomping out towards the near sideline, voicing her displeasure. Safe to say, neither coaching staff has been too happy with some of the calls today. Taylor in the first half and now Iowa here in the second. It was a good run from Summers, just left a hair too early. Flag was in the air at about 15 yards inside midfield. And again, we give credit to Taylor athletic trainer Joe Walter, the first one down there to notice the offside. He's got that right hand in the air. Johnny on the spot. Massey into the wind. And Riley's free kick couldn't find its intended target. A little stop and start move from Summers. Claire Massey comes in to take it away from her from behind. Dempsey into the air. And this one will get caught in the wind, so it won't travel very far. And a good header here by Spoltman, knocking it down to Turner. Back to Spoltman near side for Indiana Wesleyan as Iwu tries to carry to the offensive end. This pass will not find a home as it rolls all the way to the fence on the left side. And before Brackenbury can play it back in, Claire Monberg comes in to get AC Hardy for Taylor. "20 minutes gone here in this second half. Taylor with 10 shots, just eight of them for Indiana Wesleyan. The majority of Taylor's shots have been on goal, 7-2 in favor of the Trojans in that category. But remember, Indiana Wesleyan has got at least one, has had one shot go off of the post. They get Lindley 2 for the foul. She comes back and takes down Riley Spoltman from behind. Spoltman at 5'1", 2 at 5'9". So the two get tangled up. And a free kick for Indiana Wesleyan, 10 yards inside the midfield line, right in the heart of the middle of the field. It'll be Krieger once again. Played a nice one in earlier from the near side on a free kick. We'll see what she can do here from right in the middle of the field. Right foot into it, onto the frame. Brackenbury there. It'll sail over and hit the football crossbar behind the goal. But a great-looking ball there from Krieger. So we're trying to do the math in our heads here. For about 48 yards out. But a beautiful attempt there from Krieger. Just a little bit too high, had the wind at her back, and she used it beautifully. 2, flicks it on to Kortenhoven, cuts in and left foots one back to the middle of the field. Krieger steps in and right foots that one away from trouble for the time being for Indiana Wesleyan. 2, back to Massey, to the near side, and 2. 2 circling across midfield. Rakes. Left footing one in, once Monberg. Stacker comes out. Monberg tried to tow it away and maybe tried just a hair too early as she missed it with her right toe, and that allowed Stacker to scoop it up as Taylor's trying to connect some long passes here into the 18. Big bounce here. Turner comes in. She's taken down, but in the middle of the field, Iwu comes in, then the turf monster swallows her up. And in the middle of the field is Turner down as she ran into Raina Williams and Massey. And Turner still slow to get up in the middle of the field. The foul stops the play as Schmidt was making her run up the middle of the field. And now Schmidt leaning over as she slipped or got caught on the turf. But she seems to be okay and she'll stay in. Same thing for Turner, who's back to her feet. Kortenhoven will take 2 spot on the 3-woman wall as we dip below 22 minutes remaining here in the second half. A few moments ago, it was Krieger with a free kick from 48 yards out, this time much closer at about 27 and a little left of center towards the near side. We'll see if Krieger tries to play it in the box or go right at the goal. She's going to send one in here. It's cut down nicely by Dempsey. And now Taylor will move from the defensive end back up to midfield. Nicely done by Seven and White. Two trying to get there. Poked away from her by Krieger. Summers lays it back. Rake's working hard. Almost trying to get her toe on the pass intended for Spoltman. But then off to the far side, and Cullen it goes for Indiana Wesleyan. Cullen hits the brakes. Orm trying to challenge, and Cullen keeps it away from the pesky Morgan Orm. Cockram coming up from the near sideline. No score. 21 minutes left to go here in the second half. Massey pokes it away. Kortenhoven right footing one forward, right on target to Alana Rakes. She's got Monberg and 2 cutting forward. The pass went in. Taylor says it should be a handball. It'll fall on deaf ears as the pass goes screaming into the Taylor bench. As they were arguing for the handball, the subs come in. It's Claudio for Taylor replacing Kortenhoven. Kenzie Millar and Sydney Brown in. Millar for the first time in the second half. Brown back in for Indiana Wesleyan. They replace Summers and Schmidt. But Taylor looking for the handball there, but it falls on deaf ears. Brown with the loose ball in the middle of the field, turns and sets her sights towards the other end of the field. Looping one in. Millar trying to cut in. Massey there, coming out all the way. 5 yards outside the box was Brackenbury, and she'll rifle one away with the right foot. Raina Williams trying to clear, held in nicely by Brown in the middle of the field. Thought about a shot and then lays it off near side. Took a second bounce and bounces away from Cockram's left foot as she had to check up. And now Massey throws it in. Couldn't get it into Claudio, so she deals off the 2. Back to C. Massey, stepping forward and looping one in. Krieger couldn't clear it away with the head. He goes right down to Rakes. Cut off here near side. Claudio comes back in and toes it off to Rakes, who spins towards the middle of the field. Alana up to 2. Back heel flick. Here's Claudio filling it in from the right edge of the box. From the end line, Claudio to the middle. Slipping is Monberg, and it just misses the near side post. If Monberg doesn't lose her footing, it's an easy tap in for the Trojans. Instead, they'll say Stacker got a piece of it. And it's a corner kick from the near side for TU and Morgan Orm, their 5th corner here today. It was either Stacker or one of the defenders. Someone got a piece of it for those wearing gray. Near side Orm, a low in-swinger, 2 deflects it to the back, nobody home. Dempsey trying to get down on top of it. Knocks it down, lays it back to Rakes. Pressure comes, and Rakes gives off to Dempsey. Looping it in, Claudio trying to knife her way in. It'll be cleared away from the middle of the box by Indiana Wesleyan. Out to the far sideline as Dempsey will leg it out. So the Monberg shot goes wide as Orm bump from behind, keeps her footing underneath her and lays it back to Dempsey. Over rakes his head to the middle. Claudio hustling after it, but Krieger drives it away before Claudio can make life difficult for her. Williams off to Riley Massey. Playing it forward. This one goes off the left shoulder of Bowden. Knocks it down nicely to Spoltman. 2 comes in. 2 trying to work her way in, and she knifes forward. 2 flicks it on near the near side, and Claudio on the right side of the box. Claudio crossing backside over Orm's head as she got tangled up and couldn't leave her feet cleanly. Monberg will hustle down and keep it for Taylor on the far side. Monberg lays it all the way back to Goebel. Goebel steps in. Her shot was blocked. And then 2 steps in front of this clearance drive for Indiana Wesleyan. Towing it off to Claudio. Claudio fakes across to the end line, battling with Krieger. Claudio working it back. Taylor screams for a foul that falls on deaf ears. The Taylor bench and the Taylor fans voicing their displeasure vehemently, wanting the foul as Claudio got Krieger to extend her arm completely and trying to force Claudio away. And now 2. Near side Claire Massey, just out of her reach. It goes out, and Indiana Wesleyan will throw it in front of the Taylor bench. $17-15 left to go here in this second half. Michaela Crawford in. Checking out will be Streeter. And also exiting for Indiana Wesleyan is Cockrum. Trying to see who the other sub that came in for the Wildcats was. That might be Emily Carter. 27 might be back out there for those in gray. (12-9) shots in favor of the Trojans. 8-2 on goal in favor of TU. Massey, little box out there on Brown. As Brown lost the tire, jostling with the taller Massey. And the goal kick upcoming here for Brackenbury. Scoreless here so far, and Taylor's had the ball for the majority of the time here in the second half. Far edge of the circle, Monberg off to Massey. Taylor's been knocking on the door a lot here in the second half as Stevens will walk back to check back in. Rakes with the defender on her hip, wants to spin back over that right shoulder, blasts one in, too far for Orm as she was setting up all the way on the far sideline. There's that little roll the ball with your right foot over your right shoulder play for Rakes when she scored on a beautiful shot against Huntington here a few weeks ago. This time that move was used to create space to dish the pass off instead of taking a shot. Massey leaps into the air. That's Riley Massey. Heads down the pass. 2 had a big first touch off the left foot. Gave it right back to Sydney Brown of Indiana Wesleyan. And then Carter will bash it in deep near side. Foot race here, but the ball's going to beat everybody out of bounds. That means a goal kick for Brackenbury and Taylor. Here comes Erin Stevens. Stevens with 6 goals, 3 dimes on the year. She takes the spot of Alana Rakes from that center forward spot. So 15 minutes left to go here in regulation time. 0-0 on this Halloween 2020 between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. Iowa's got the ball in their offensive half for one of the rare times here in the second half, and we'll see what they can create here. To the top of the box, they could not connect with Millar. Big bounce off the turf. And Emma Goebel, the only one there for TU. Nice pass up to Monberg. To the middle and Stevens, who had to come back to get it. No pressure there, and so Stevens circles and lays a long one off to the near side and alley Claudio. Claudio's been close to setting up some goals today. Pokes this one in. 2 shoulders her way through the try of Krieger. It'll go off of Iwu's Carter. And a quick throw in here to 2. Krieger steps in front. She'll knee it out of play, and Claire Massey will tee it up again to throw it in. Goebel, top of the box, looking, shooting, far side, and that's a slow bouncer. Easy work for Stacker. Those long-range shots for Taylor today just have not had the pace to be dangerous against someone with the height of Stacker at 5'10", freshman out of Goshen, Indiana, up north. Claudio bumped into by Krieger, and Taylor again appealing for a foul that falls on deaf ears. Long ball near side, intended for Sydney Brown, trying to beat the ball to the end line. She's going to have to hustle to do it. She cannot. Misses it by about a step and a half. 13:30 left to go here in this second stanza. Still scoreless between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. Taylor has a lot better opportunities here in the second half than they did in the first. Indiana Wesleyan had a couple one go off of the post in the first half of play and a couple that have missed by a few inches. Taylor had a golden opportunity to go up 1-0 on the breakaway try. A beautiful ball was played up to Aaron Tevens, but it was the stealthy stop by Stacker on the 1v1 opportunity with the electrifying Tevens that's kept our match at zeros. Back in are Olivia Schmidt. She replaces Kenzie Millar. And also coming back in Morgan Summers for Indiana Wesleyan. She will spell Michaela Crawford. It'll be an Emily Carter throw in near side. And Carter throws it in deep. She wants to let Brown have a go run after it to the near corner with Massey marking her. Brown gets to it, playing it back to her right foot. Claire Massey comes in to help beautifully, cuts down the cross. And it'll go off of the younger Massey and an Iwu throw in near side. Carter wanted Summers, too far for her to get to, and Goebel will just bash this one through the screaming October wind. Left-footed forward by Krieger. Iwu had to retreat to get back on side, and Brackenberry will scoop up the bouncing ball, and everyone goes back to midfield as we inch closer to 12 minutes left to go here in the second half. And we are scoreless between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. Iwu won the first matchup of the year at their home field at the end of September, 2-0. Taylor trying to even the season series and end the regular season on a win. Moved to 8-4 on the year. Iwu trying to get to 8 wins as well. They're 7-2-2 overall. Again, with the change to the schedule a couple of weeks ago, even though these two teams in the Crossroads League, this will not count towards their Crossroads League record. Nice move by Krieger. The pass was looped over everyone's head except for Raina Williams of Taylor. Short pass and a good read by Abby Cullen to sprint back and prevent a clean receive for Orm. Spinning away nicely is Goebel. Right foot's a layoff one to Massey. Riley to Claire Massey near side of the field. Touching it forward, too far for Claudio to get to, and Iwu pokes it back into the offensive half. Near side with Sydney Brown. Claire Massey cuts her off. It goes off of Claire. Taylor's head coach Scott Stan does not like it, and Iwu will throw it in with Carter on the near sideline towards the end of their bench. Less than 11 to go here in regulation time. Still 0-0 as Iwu's got the ball in their attacking half for the longest time they've had here in the second stanza. Goebel carrying forward for Taylor, directing traffic with Tevens. Has got Krieger right there on her back. Krieger shoves her down and knew the foul was coming right when she saw Tevens go down to the turf. Third foul against Indiana Wesleyan today. Taylor has racked up 8 of them. A free kick 5 yards outside midfield for Massey. She'll blast one to the far side. Orm bulldozes her way in. And falling down was Lauren Turner as Orm went through her. And the 9th foul against Taylor has just been whistled. And Taylor's fans disagree with that one again. Stevens with the wind at her back will calmly play it off to Turner on the far side. Did not want to drive one forward as we inch closer to 10 minutes left to go here in the second half. 0-0 between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. Regular season finale for both of these clubs. Play to the near side. Short pass. Claudio jumps back on top of it, but played it off target and played it right off to Olivia Schmidt. Good move from Carter, trying to shake away from Claudio. Claudio to regain her bearings. And Carter lays it off to the far side, and Abby Cullen. Iwu from right to left in gray. Little back heel flick wanted from Brown from Schmidt. Claire Massey will take her stab at defending Brown here after Big Sis Riley had the matchup the last couple times down. Blocking the cross is Claire, and Riley clears it away, trying to find Tevens. Cutting it off with her knees is Spoltman. And then this one played in too far for Brown to get to. They have had Brown, who just looks so tired right now after every Seems like every pass in the last 5 minutes intended for Brown, she's had to sprint 30 yards to try and go and get. And she looks really winded right now. That long pass, she saw how far it was going to go by her and checked up wisely, trying to save her energy. Morgan Orm comes out with Alana Rakes coming back in for Taylor. First time that Orm's come off the field today. So she'll get a breather with less than 9 minutes to go here in the second half and no score. Rakes takes the pass from 2. Plays it off into space near side. Claire Massey steps across midfield. Little stutter step, playing it forward. 1-2, could not find her. Krieger steps in front with a head of steam, but Massey knifes her way through and knocks it down to Lindley 2. 2, curling it. Once the backside play in Monberg. It was deflected away, but right off to Tevens, who lost it momentarily. Rakes tried to turn and shot. It was blocked. Rakes trying to wheel it back in her favor. Cleared away from the top of the box nicely by Indiana Wesleyan. Raina Williams comes in with a right foot and bashes it down. Dempsey got a piece of it for Taylor. Now Goebel will poke it on back to the near side and Riley Massey. A slow roller up to Claire Massey, then back to Big Sis Riley. Goebel with Brown right there on her left hip, still working back and lays it off to Riley Massey. All the way to the far side of the field in Dempsey. Less than 8 to go in the second half with no score. Taylor from left to right and white. They have the wind in their faces here in the second half. But does not slow down their offensive opportunities. Rakes back to Dempsey, left edge of the field. Dempsey surveying. Works it on to Monberg. Wanted to go back to her right foot, poked away from her. But Caroline able to work back and find Goebel in the middle of the field. Goebel moving forward. Left foot pass into space. Once Claire Massey, she had to check up, and it was a good challenge there by Emily Carter, who just made Massey think about it, that she was going to get a piece of it. Carter didn't get there, but the check up by Massey, because she didn't want to let Carter home free coming up the near side of the field, allowed the ball to roll out of play, with Millar back in for Indiana Wesleyan replacing Schmidt. Carter to throw it in near side. Worked on by Indiana Wesleyan, no one home in gray, and so Raina Williams will play it up to Goebel. Right at midfield, Goebel with Brown pressuring her from her right hip. And then Goebel dumps it off to Dempsey on the far side of the field. 0-0, 6:51 and counting here in half 2 between the two Grant County foes. Monberg out of trouble, back off to Raina Williams and Taylor's defensive end as the Trojans go from left to right and white. Massey just across midfield, right-footed looper. Rakes trying to track it, knocked down to the end line by Indiana Wesleyan. They've got to save it to prevent a corner kick, and they do. A last-ditch effort by Abby Cullen will force a Claire Massey throw into the end line, and Claudio. One touch in, got away from one defender. Now here comes the corner as Krieger poked it away, and it'll be the 6th corner of the afternoon for Taylor. As we approach 6 minutes remaining in the second half, Tevens will come to the near side of the field and take the corner. It'll come into the left of the keeper Stacker in a scoreless contest here in the regular season finale. Tevens looks, plays one with her right foot. Stacker comes in on the near side post and out jumps everybody and makes an easy snag. That ball kind of got caught in the air a little bit, and Stacker able to jump over everyone and make an easy play on the near side post. The punt from Stacker drives across midfield. Massey reads it and volleys it almost pinpointly to Claudio near side. That ball took an extra second hop and bounced out of play off the artificial surface, and so Carter will throw it in for Indiana Wesleyan, but Cochran will come in to replace Summers in the IWU 11. Carter looking for someone to throw it into. She wants Brown, who again has been running up and down the near side of the field for the last 10 minutes. Could not get it to her clean. Teague dishes it off for Taylor before trouble could come. See Massey up to Rakes. Her pass deflected. Good defense there by throwing her foot out there. Anna Stevens, and then Krieger will drive one deep with 5 minutes left to go in regulation time and no score. Raina Williams near side. Massey using that long frame to leg it out to the near side and prevent the ball from going out of play, which would have given Iowa a throw-in in their offensive end. Long pass to C. Massey, dunks it down to Goebel. Middle of the field in Monberg, turns and looks, and she'll work it onto the far side and Hannah Dempsey. Dempsey with some room to work. Tevens cuts in front. Tevens gets it on the back heel flick. Couldn't keep working it forward. Then Tevens now's got a head of steam coming up the middle. Tevens still working to that right foot. Still well outside the box. Tevens continues to run. Jumping in front of the way is Krieger, using her strength to force the smaller Tevens out of the way. Claudio thrown down to the turf with no call, but Claire Massey holds in the clearance attempt. She'll curl it to the middle. Monberg had a toe on it, couldn't get it clean. She'll retreat and chase it down to the far side. She'll lay this one back to Hannah Dempsey. Dempsey from distance. Over the head of two. Claudio knifed her way in, but couldn't find her footing after she got around the defender, and the ball bounced away before Claudio could redirect it on frame. Less than 4 to go in regulation time. Millar out. And Amon back in for a brief stint like she had at the end of the first half. Goal kick from Stacker. Right down to Lindley, too, who deflects it off to Claudio. To Rakes, too far behind her as they were in tight quarters. C. Massey cuts in front here. Keeps working up the near side of the field for Taylor. Claire splits the two defenders. Claudio can't get it to the end line, and it'll be another goal kick here for the Wildcats. So Mallory Krieger, you can hear third-year head coach Daniel Seifert asking Krieger to take this goal kick. We've seen the power of Krieger's right foot all day. And with 3:13 left to go in regulation, he wants Krieger to rifle this one forward, which she does, pinpointly to Turner. But it bounces over her head. Raina Williams right there, then off to Dempsey just inside midfield. Taylor going from left to right in white. Indiana Wesleyan defends in gray. No score. Less than 3 to go in regulation time. Long pass. Goebel pokes it forward, trying to get around the third defender. Could not. But the clearance try by Iowa held in by Massey with a deft touch towards the right edge of the center circle. Massey wants to go far side Tevens. Aaron knocks it down with her right foot. Tevens working to the middle, still dribbling. Sets one up from distance, and it sails over the crossbar. And a goal kick with 2:34 to go here in the second half for Indiana Wesleyan on the Tevens try from deep. The 5'10 frame from Stacker makes those rising shots a little bit easier for the Iowa defense than most goalies you see in the Crossroads League, but Tevens still trying to give it a go from the far side. Goebel in the center circle for Taylor. Left foots one off to Dempsey as we get closer to 2 minutes left to go here in the second half. In a scoreless contest between the two Grant County foes. Turner takes it away from Tevens. Will loop one up the near side of the field intended for Cockrum. Too far for her. Dempsey comes back to throw it in for Taylor on the far edge. Monberg to Goebel on the left side for Taylor as the Trojans go from left to right. Far edge of the box and Rakes. Rakes looking to make some magic here. Rakes back to her right foot, still dribbling. 3 defenders around her. Rakes back to that left foot. She collides with the defender, and they'll call Rakes for the foul. And there come more boos from the Taylor fans. Rakes' defender, I think it was Abby Cullen, got in the way, and then Rakes collided with her from behind, and Cullen went down to the turf, and that's when the whistle was blown. 82 seconds left to go here in the second half. As Krieger again will take this free kick deep in the defensive end. Raina Williams tracks it and flicks it back across midfield. Bowden will play it in deep. Turner gets caught up with Raina Williams. That allows Massey to cut her off, and Brackenbury will left foot one down to the far side and Hannah Dempsey for Taylor. Goebel between two defenders off to Dempsey with a minute left to go here in the second half and no score. Tevens wanted 2. The long pass read by Krieger. She'll flick it forward to Amon. Back to Krieger near side. Krieger surveying, works to the middle. Thought about a long shot. Massey comes in, bumps her off the path, and a foul called against Massey. With 40 seconds left to go here in the second half and a set piece opportunity from just... It's going to be 38 yards from the middle of the field here from Krieger. Krieger's been really good today. She's going to take her time with 24, 23, and 22 seconds counting here in the second half and no score. With 16 seconds left, Krieger approaches. Right foot one's in, and that one wide to the far side post with 12 seconds left. And that should send us to overtime. With 7 and with 6, Brackenbury would have to have a cannon and a half for a leg. And she won't even get this one off before we hit the final buzzer. We head to overtime. 0-0 between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. Overtime after this here on the Trojan Sports Network.
What limits you? Too small, too old, insecure, broken. You have no limits. Rethink your limits.
Ivanhoe's has been serving Taylor students since 1965, when Ivan and Carol Slane purchased the restaurant. Located on Main Street, Ivanhoe's is less than a mile from the Taylor campus and is open 7 days a week. The menu features choices for lunch, dinner, as well as 100 different milkshakes and sundaes. Customers can find other dessert items as well. The staff is proud to support Taylor University and appreciates the support of Ivanhoe's through the years.
When you need the fuel to be your nephew's #1 fan, Holiday Inn Express. We're there, so you can be too.
It's true. Many of us spend more time thinking about what's for dinner than thinking about retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, we agree, and we'd like to help. Your local Edward Jones financial advisors, Ryan Jones, Mark Sieglin, and Rob Sisson, can help you get started today. They are proud corporate partners of Taylor University Athletics. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Best One Tire and Auto Care Upland is proud to support Taylor University Athletics. Located at 148 South Main Street, Best One is open 6 days a week. Owner Mike Pearson and his staff offer replacement tires from brands like Bridgestone, Firestone, and Goodyear. Customers can also shop for tires from the comfort of their home by using the online tire finder. When it's time for mechanical repairs, Best One's ASE certified technicians can perform a wide range of services to get their customers back on the road. And those same technicians can do repairs on fleet vehicles as well. Taylor Athletics says thank you to Mike Pearson and everyone at Best One Tire and Auto Care Upland.
What limits you? Too small, too old, insecure, broken. You have no limits. Rethink your limits.
First overtime game of the year for the Taylor women's soccer team. Indiana Wesleyan has seen their fair share of overtime games, including a double overtime win against Spring Arbor earlier this season. A couple of ties for the Wildcats as well. Both have come in league play, as Iowa's won the coin toss. It'll be the fourth overtime game of the year for Indiana Wesleyan. 2 ties with Mount Vernon Nazarene and Grace, and the spring overtime win as well. For the first overtime win for game for Taylor this year, they go from right to left here in the first half with the first overtime, which means they have the wind at their backs. The Taylor students have come out here today on this Halloween Saturday, standing down below us. So it's Taylor from right to left here in overtime number 1. No score, golden goal. And they do have the wind at their backs here in this first OT session. It'll be 10 minutes. If no one scores, we'll go to a second overtime in 10 minutes. Turner in the middle, slips one through, trying to find Schmidt. Dempsey kicks it away far side of the field. As we've got folks climbing on the baseball dugout across from us, trying to get an eye of the field. Taylor head coach Kyle Gould, who is in attendance, might be asking them to remove themselves from his dugout. A throw in far side to Sidney Brown, who really enjoyed that time off after a lot of long runs at the end of the second half. Long play near side, still not out of danger just yet as Taylor comes in and Massey clears it all the way up close to midfield. Flicked back in here by Cullen, bouncing snag for Brackenbury. Good dangerous chance there for Indiana Wesleyan. They tried to play it from the far side to the near side. On the goal to our right, could not find the intended target. Taylor got it away from trouble. Massey right foots one forward. Over the head, Monberg, who gets to start here in OT number 1, carrying up the middle. Pass near side to Ali Claudio. Good touch. Claudio right foot far side. Stacker makes a diving stop with her fingertips. Tevens back to the middle. Still loose, and it's finally cleared by Indiana Wesleyan as Stacker dove all the way full length as Claudio from the near side of the field almost ended it with her right foot. 2 from distance. Stacker jumps and it sails over the crossbar. And a goal kick upcoming here for Stacker and Indiana Wesleyan as the Trojans almost found lightning in a bottle here 2 minutes into OT number 1. A phenomenal save by Stacker. She's made 2 of them here since halftime. One on the one-on-one against Tevens in the second half on the other end, and here with a diving try off a great shot with pace from Claudio. Monberg knifes the ball away here from Bowden and plays it back to the aforementioned Claudio near side. Claudio, 2.5 minutes into the first overtime. Big first touch, cleared away, however, by Cullen in front of her. Taylor fell to Indiana Wesleyan at the end of September 2-0, trying to even the season series here. Dempsey to the end line to our left. Claudio trying to get inside position. The defender falls down, rakes from distance. Her shot is blocked. To the middle in 2. Back to Rakes, sets one up again off the heel of her foot, and Stacker makes an easy bouncer as it's coming right to her. After a quick Indiana Wesleyan start here in the first overtime, the Trojans have started to find their offensive rhythm here in the last few moments. Dempsey called for a foul from behind, and that foul whistle comes an eternity after the play happened. 11th foul against Taylor, and that's going to rile up the students down below us. It'll be Krieger again to take this free kick. She's taken all the important set pieces for Indiana Wesleyan today. This one set up about 3 yards inside of midfield as Iwu shoots on the goal to our right with the wind at their face here in the first overtime session. No score. Big right foot from Krieger. Curling to the far side. Massey fighting for position. Got her head on it. Sent back in. Raina Williams presses in front of them. Left foots one through the wind up to the center circle with a flag in the air. An offside. Near side against Indiana Wesleyan. Third offside against the visitors today. And Taylor will move this one all the way back inside the 18. Just a 2-minute break between OT1 and OT2. And Taylor's got Morgan Orm on the bench trying to get her some extra breathing room. Cullen comes away with it, 2 steps in front and takes it away and plays it off to Monberg. Taylor shooting on the goal to our left, 2 up to Rakes. Big first touch, but no one there in gray to take it away from Alana. Rakes steps through, taken down, and that's an easy foul call. Rakes saw the tackle coming in from Stevens. And she got taken down as we approach the halfway point of overtime number 1. It's a set piece opportunity for one of the best players in the country, Lindley, too. Let's call this 30 yards outside of the goal, near side of the field. A 5-woman wall for Indiana Wesleyan between 2 and Stacker. In a scoreless game in the first overtime in the regular season finale. The Iowa wall jumping up and down, moving. 2 readies. Right foot into it, curls it in. Stacker's got it as that one tried to find the far side post. A much easier save for Stacker, her 10th one today, but the last 2, the one before it, was almost superhuman. This one into the wind allows 2 to take it away for the time being. The smaller Spoltman came in, knifed it away from 2. And then Bowden plays it in deep up the near side of the field, wanting to find Brown. The ball checks up, Brown pirouettes, and lays it back to Schmidt for Indiana Wesleyan. She's marked by Goebel. Goebel fakes going back to her left. Dempsey now guards her on the right edge of the penalty area. Poked away by Dempsey across the end line. Corner kick upcoming for Indiana Wesleyan. It's going to be their first corner kick of the day. Orm ready to come back in. She will not be allowed to until after the corner kick has been taken. Less than 4 to go here in the first overtime session. No score between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan in the regular season finale for both of these clubs. And you guessed it, Mallory Krieger will take the near side corner. She's been the one to take every set piece of importance for Indiana Wesleyan today. It'll come into the near side from the near side corner. This is to the left of the keeper Brackenbury and the goal to our right. Both hands in the air for Krieger, right foot into it. Little pace of the backside. Lindley 2 heads it away. Coming in to help is Rake. She'll flick it on. And then 2 Iowa players cut in front of her as the Wildcats try to hold it in their attacking half. Looped back near side to Krieger. Back to her left foot, eluding Dempsey. She'll poke it into the top of the 18. No one home. Getting a piece of it was Riley Massey, and then Brackenbury smothered it up. It took a weird hop, and then Massey just got her shoulder in the way of it. And kept their match scoreless here with less than 3 to go in OT number 1. Schmidt eluding Dempsey. Back to the near side, having to come to get it was Brown. Fumbled with it for a moment. Dempsey towed it away from her. Back to Schmidt. From distance, nobody guards Brown, who's wide open, and she volleys this one over the crossbar. Make that Turner. Turner was all by her lonesome and just played it up and over as she finally eludes the Taylor defense like she had in the first half. 2:24 to go here in OT number 1. Remember, the 2 teams will switch sides, which means Taylor will have the wind in their faces in the second OT session. Claudia tried to cut in, bounced away from her. Cockrum lets this one roll all the way to the out of bounds near side. And Iowa will throw it in, but not before Morgan Orm comes back in for the Trojans, replacing Tevens. And Michaela Crawford will come in for Indiana Wesleyan. She will spell Cockrum. Less than 2 to go here in this first overtime session. 0-0 between Indiana Wesleyan and Taylor. First overtime game for Taylor this year. Indiana Wesleyan playing in their 4th. They're 1-0-2. Pressure from the Trojans in the back, trying to force a turnover against the Iowa defense. Carter slips it through 2 players, trying to find Schmidt in the middle. The ball checks up. Schmidt has to come back to get it. That allows Dempsey to regroup. The pass goes right off the heel of Hannah Dempsey, and she knocks it up to 2. 2 turns into space near side. Claudio, who's played nicely here in the second half. But a turnover gives it to Schmidt near side. Wants to send one in. Riley Massey cuts it off with her skull. Schmidt lays it down to Spoltman. Monberg comes in to help from behind, but they find Schmidt in the middle. Flicking one in. Brown with a run got behind. Dempsey, her one-touch sails high and wide of the far side, 90. That ball just jumped off of Brown's right foot and sailed up and over the far side, and it remains scoreless as the Taylor defense starting to show what they did in the first half, where Iowa was able to make runs behind them at a breakneck pace at times. 1 minute left to go in OT number 1. Next goal wins, no score on the day so far. Goebel, far side to Orm. To the near side, and Monberg rolls away from her, and it'll be scooped up easily by Christy Bowden of Indiana Wesleyan as they make one last push with 37 seconds left. Brackenbury comes off the line. She's tackled by the Iowa player, and that's a foul going against the Wildcats. Massey had blocked out the Iowa player. I think it was Brown, and then Brown just cleaned Brackenbury right off of her feet. 5th foul against Indiana Wesleyan with 19 seconds left. Taylor's going to have to move quick, or we're heading to overtime number 2. A big bounce here. Claudio's got to leg it out. That ball took a big third hop, and that prevented Claudio from getting onto it. We hit the countdown with 5 seconds and 4, and we head to overtime number 2 between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. The way this match is played, it deserves to go to the second and final overtime session. No score, 10 more minutes left. OT number 2 next here on the Trojan Sports Network. It's an interesting scenario right now. As we mentioned, this is the regular season finale for both teams as we're about 17 seconds away from the second overtime session. Still no score. Taylor in their first overtime game of the year, Indiana Wesleyan in their fourth. If this was a normal season, which I'm sure we've said a lot this year, if this was a normal year, then blah, 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 blah. In a normal year, you might try to play for the point because you need it for your league standing and everything else. But it's a non-conference game. It's the last game of the regular season. Points don't matter right now. Wins matter because winning is fun. So I think we might see a little more of an aggressive two sides here than you would normally in a regular season finale with points and playoff positioning and all that good stuff. All very important. All that's pretty much locked in right now with Taylor playing their 8 games, Indiana Wesleyan getting to the full 9. So you're playing for wins right now. And here we go, overtime number 2. As A.C. Hardy gets to start here in the second overtime. The ball right to her feet, to the middle, and Alana Rakes wants to go far side to Claudio. Tevens and Monberg will start on the bench for Taylor here in the second overtime, trying to get Tevens as much rest as possible before unleashing her for probably the last 5, 6, 7 minutes of OT. Bowden, right foot's one away. Verena Williams will send it right back to where it came from for Taylor. A misplay knocks it right down to Rakes near side. She's got Orm cutting near side. Krieger, though, cuts it off as she was well in front of the cutting Orm on the near side of the field. Nicely done by Krieger, who's been arguably Indiana Wesleyan's best player today. Stacker has thrown her hat in the ring as well with some stellar saves against first Tevens in the second half and then Claudio in overtime number 1. Claudio racing after this one on the far side of the field. Taylor shoots on the goal to our right. Allie works back to her right foot, trying to run away from the pressure of Cullen. Lays it back to Rakes, 5 yards outside the 18, threads it in. Orm couldn't find the position for it as that ball sailed over her head. It goes out across the end line, and it'll be a goal kick upcoming for Hope Stacker and Indiana Wesleyan. 10 minutes in this overtime session, just like in the first one. If it remains scoreless, it'll end in a tie. It would be Taylor's first tie of the year. It'd be Indiana Wesleyan's third. And Krieger will take the goal kick here with the wind at her back. Flicked down to the middle of the field by Indiana Wesleyan. Raina Williams able to scoop it up. She hits the brakes and she tries to elude Brown. Plays off to the near side and Claire Massey. Big first touch allowed Schmidt to come back and take it away from the younger Massey. Krieger, there's 2 to meet her. Krieger dishes off before 2 could try to poke it away. To the ever-dangerous Lauren Turner. With Dempsey guarding her right at the midfield stripe. Bowden pokes it away from Hardy, but right up to Ali Claudio. Couldn't flick it on to Rakes as it was Bowden stepping in the way again. Schmidt turns and plays it to the near far side of the field. Dempsey will fling it up to Claudio. Big first touch, had to come back to get it to elude Crawford. 2 minutes into the second overtime session, no score between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. Taylor had some of their best goal-scoring opportunities on this goal in the second half. 2's got it in the middle of the field, threads it near side. Can Orm beat Krieger to it? She can, and she flicks one wide to the near side as she had to make a quick play on it with Krieger barreling down on her from her left. 20th shot today for the Trojans. The 13 of them have been on goal. Indiana Wesleyan with 13 shots, 3 on goal. And Krieger will take the goal kick again as we approach 7 minutes remaining here in our contest today. Dempsey reads it nicely, flicks it all the way into where it came from. But Iowa will bash it to their offensive end. Couldn't get a toe on it with Schmidt. Hardy will scoot her way back and lays it off to Dempsey. Taylor from left to right in white. Indiana Wesleyan defends in gray. Claudio has it go off of her defender's foot, and the Trojans will throw it in on the far side of the field. Brenna Streeter ready to come back in for Indiana Wesleyan. We did not see her in the first overtime session. Claudio has it taken away far side. This one looping back up to the midfield area. And Raina Williams will left foot one off to Massey. This is Riley Massey. And now to Claire Massey. Claire, the freshman, eyes and sends one to the middle of the field. Wanted Rakes. Leaping in front of the wave for the pass was Anna Stevens. But Massey, Massey, works her way back in. Dempsey off the 2, who pirouettes, wanted to come to Orm near side and now does. Orm with plenty of room to work, tries to elude Carter, works it forward, right into the box and Rakes. 2 defenders there as Rakes tries to work back over her right shoulder. Good work by Carter to take the ball off of Rakes' toe. Turner wants to elude Massey. Turner eyeing, measuring, and playing it all the way to the far side on a slow bouncer to Crawford. Crawford on top of it first as Dempsey slides back in to mark her. Flicking it to the middle, plays it behind Brown, has been running all over the field here since halftime. And she won't chase after it. Riley Massey comes in, leaping and blocking it out of play is Lauren Turner. And that allows Streeter to come in for Indiana Wesleyan. She will spell Emily Carter back on the defensive line. The ball went out across the end line, so as we get close to the halfway point of overtime number 2, Brackenbury will have the goal kick here, remember, with the wind in her face here in overtime number 2. Brackenbury to the far side, held in by Crawford on a right-footed volley. Dempsey gets her head on it into the air. It'll sail out of play. And Indiana Wesleyan will have a throw in, far sideline with Sydney Brown. Actually make that Bowden to throw it in. And they'll try to throw it into Brown. She tried to spin away from Dempsey. Raina Williams comes in to clean it up, plays it out off the far side. It went off of Brown, the forward. And so Taylor will throw it in with 5:05 left in overtime number 2. Big first touch. Claudio came back, could not keep it moving forward after the deflection, but Hardy gets it back and now off to 2. 2's got some room to work. She's got Orm flying up the near side. 2 measures and loops it in if Orm can curl her way in. Krieger will try to beat her to it. Orm trying to get there. Did it go off of a defender's foot? It's a foul, a whistle all the way back, and they call it against Morgan Orm. And another time today that Taylor's fans and bench are perplexed at our center official's whistle. 13th foul against Taylor today. That's almost a no call in that situation since Krieger and Orm both applied equal pressure there on the end line. Iwu turns it over. 2 to Rakes, try to work it forward. Ball rolled away from her. And then Krieger left foots one away from trouble. Claire Massey plays it back to the middle of the field with 4:13 left to go here in overtime number 2 and no score. Goebel cut the ball down, couldn't keep it moving forward. It finds Schmidt of Indiana Wesleyan in the middle of the field. Wanted to find Turner, too far for her. And Brackenbury scoops it up as she was waiting for it a couple yards inside the 18. Less than 4 to go here in overtime number 2, and a fun one here from Turner Stadium today to wrap up the regular season between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. Middle of the field, Hardy's first touch got away from her. Riley Massey leans down and heads it up to Lindley 2. Now Claire Massey up to Hardy, who's got some good wheels. Long pass to Orm, touch back to Hardy, try to get it to her, then Hardy will play it in deep. Orm had to lay back and couldn't really fly after it. It goes out of play, a goal kick upcoming for Stacker, or most likely Krieger. And it will be, nope, Stacker's going to knock it down and play it in quickly here from the back line. 3:20 left to go in overtime number 2. Krieger hits the brakes. And it'll be Iwu moving it forward from the defensive end. That's to the right side of the field. Streeter dumps it off to Spoltman. 2 right there, poking at it. Spoltman trying to get away as she is 2 get tangled up. Loops one in. Massey cuts the pass off. That's Riley Massey now down to Claire Massey. Less than 3 to go in overtime number 2. Claire surveying the area. Wanted to go to the middle of the field, finds Claudio. Can she turn and get inside position? No, she's shoved out of the way by Cullen. To the end line it goes. Cullen there first. She'll play it up or right off to Morgan Orm. Couldn't get a clean touch, so Morgan will dribble in. Off to the near side, there's Claudio inside the 18. Her shot is blocked. Claudio taken down after the ball was already cleared away, and Dempsey will set things up from the far side. 2:35 and counting in overtime number 2, no score between Iwu and Taylor. Dempsey shoved down to the turf with no whistle coming, and Hardy picks up the loose ball and lays it back to Dempsey. Dempsey right foots one on, nobody home, and Stacker makes easy work of that one, and Taylor cannot believe it. Head coach Scott Stan, palms to the sky, arms extended in pure and utter disbelief that there was no foul called when Dempsey was driven into the artificial surface. Ball turned over in the middle of the field by Indiana Wesleyan, their attacking half. Goebel off to C. Massey with 2 minutes left to go in overtime number 2. The ball floats over Rakes' head. Krieger comes in and drives that one to the far side where no one will get it, except for Hannah Dempsey, who will throw it in for Taylor. 1:50 and counting in overtime number 2. Next goal wins. Next goal will be the first one of the day. Williams. Far side to Rakes, who has to come back to get it. Bounced up off of her elbow. And they'll call a handball against 4 in white. With 94 seconds and counting here in overtime number 2. It'll be Krieger. No surprise there to take this free kick. She's been phenomenal today. With 80 seconds left, she's got the wind at her back. A monstrous right foot. So don't be surprised to see this bad boy end up in the box. It'll land just short off of Riley Massey's ankle. Raina Williams plays it back to her, then Riley will send it forward. 66 seconds left in overtime number 2. Taylor trying to get one last push as 2 heads it up to Hardy, who's got the wheels. Hardy angling to her right, trying to beat Streeter. She'll get by her. Here comes Krieger. Hardy now works back to her left foot. In the middle of the field, Hardy still trying to work. She'll lay it on back to Rakes. Nobody home. Here's Dempsey with 49 seconds left in the second overtime. Claudio, left edge of the box, dribbling. Lays it back to Dempsey. Sends one on with a right foot wide of the near side. And with 40 seconds left, we'll see how quickly Iwu can push it up the field with Krieger taking the goal kick. And now 34, 33, 32. Time just dwindling away here for Indiana Wesleyan, trying to get one last offensive push. Riley Massey flicks it down to Claire Massey with 23, 22 seconds left. 2 can work some magic in the blink of an eye. It's deflected down to Claire Massey. Curling one to the middle of the field. Cullen right there for Indiana Wesleyan with 14 and 13. Center of the circle, far side, Claudio with 9 and 8. And a big boot from the right side by Crawford. Nobody there in gray. And that will be how this one comes to a close. A 0-0 draw to end the regular season for both teams. A beautifully played match today, with both teams having countless opportunities throughout today's match. Taylor finishes the regular season 7-4-1, 4-0-1 here at home. Indiana Wesleyan finishes the regular season 7-2-3. They're 4-1-3 on the road this season. Both teams will turn on and turn their sights on to the Crossroads League tournament next Saturday. Indiana Wesleyan will be at home. Taylor most likely will be on the road. Make sure to stay tuned to TaylorTrojans.com for any changes to the schedules and to find out who Taylor is playing and when. Special thanks to Hallie, our camera operator today, for braving the chilly temperatures. We thank you folks for tuning in today. And if this has been our last women's soccer broadcast of the year, we say thank you for tuning in to today's match and the matches all season. We really appreciate it. We know the young ladies down there appreciate it as well. We hope you enjoyed today's broadcast as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you this season. And if it isn't, well, then we'll talk to you on Saturday. That'll be a lot of fun. If it is, we will talk to you next fall. Final today in the regular season finale for Taylor. It was Taylor nothing and Indiana Wesleyan nothing. The two teams set their sights on next week's quarterfinals of the Crossroads League tournament at sites and times to be determined. This has been a presentation of Taylor Women's Soccer on the Trojan Sports Network. We say goodnight and good afternoon from Upland, Indiana. Make sure to tune in to Taylor Men's Basketball tonight at 7 o'clock against Governors State.